Hi, I'm Torey, and behind the camera is Derek. Someone asked us recently, what do you guys know about sheep? And we didn't know anything about sheep. So we've come here to the rural UK to learn everything the United Kingdom has to offer on sheep. We brought a camera and we're inviting you along for the ride.
So we flew into London Heathrow Airport and rented a top-of-the-line 2015 Ford Focus hatchback with which to traverse the countryside, and we searched high and low to find sheep of all colors, shape, sizes, and quantities to bring you the inside scoop.
Hey, sheep world. It's Torey, just outside North Leach, where we found sheep, particularly the great Cotswold lions, endemic to this region that was once famous for wool production until they didn't have enough water to mill it themselves. And then it went downhill quickly. But they've still got Cotswold lions, which are not lions, they are in fact sheep that look quite silly, and of which certain ones are quite rude. Yeah, you 203. Hello world, Torey here again with some Welsh sheep. We are north of Radar, and we've been talking to these sheep, all of whom have asked we not use their real names. We've been asking them about the widely known conspiracy that the sheep have been running the Illuminati for years, and that's just a front for their actual crime operation. These sheep have told us lots of things, but they have not given us a release yet. We'll continue to negotiate. Until next time, Torey, out for the truth. We've only been in Staveley a few minutes, but already we've uncovered a dastardly plot to maim these poor, sweet lambs behind us. More than 3 that we've witnessed have been limping, and perhaps it's something of pandemic proportions. What are the locals doing? What's in the water here? What's in the plants and the grass? Stay tuned and you'll find out more, Truth Nation. As you can see, we're here in Scotland, so I've got my tartan on for the classic basic bitch family. Now, behind me you'll see we have some Herdwick sheep who were so inspired by Monty Python's Legend of the Holy Grail that they put those horns on just like the knights who say ni, even though they say ba. We're here today at Loch Lomond in the Scottish Highlands, where they have such an issue with the local Highland sheep going up into the hills for the winter that when it comes shearing season, they need to bring them back down somehow. So you can see behind me, they've built this enormous structure of pipes where they just shoot the sheep straight down when it's time to bring them down for tupping and shearing. On to the next stop. This has been Torey. Back at you, Sheep Nation. We're here in a place I can't pronounce, where we've found some locals who've told us that this kind of sheep with the black face is called a blackface sheep, and the one that you see beyond, it's a little bit lighter colored, it's called a sheefer sheep, and then that one up there is an elevated sheep. We're here again in the Scottish Highlands, where sheep have been waging a centuries-old war for grazing rights between the forest sheep and the more common field sheep. Now, a lot have been advocating for a 2-state solution, but many believe it's no longer possible in this sheep political climate. What you see behind me here is an ancient pilgrimage path where the sheep go to worship some of their gods. Now, while Judaism didn't stick much here in human Scotland, all the sheeps here just happen to be Jewish. Who'd have thought? But you can tell by the tracks along the side of the path, they've recently had their Seder dinner. There's horseradish just everywhere. I'm going to try the path myself, though I do hear it's full of trials, tribulations, and all kinds of challenges that I may not be ready to face. We'll see. According to ancient Gaelic lore, The sheep in these parts originally crawled from the banks of this river here, Loch Ness, after they were birthed by the mother sheep herself, who's now known by another name, Nessie. We're here in Belfort, England, where a very nice farmer named Gilbert has allowed us to come trudge out into his fields and be with the sheep, communing in nature. And we've also learned a fascinating insight into sheep who have pairs of lambs. As you'll see in the field behind me, many of these ewes have 2 lambs with them at all times. But what happens if a ewe gives birth to just 1, or if the ewe gives birth to 3 lambs? What we've been told is that prior to the birthing process, an ultrasound doctor comes around and checks each one, and they're separated into separate fields for the ewes who have just 2 babies and the ewes that have 1 or 3, because a ewe will typically only be able to feed 2. So if a ewe has a single child and then another one has 3, they'll take one of those, they'll smear it in the afterbirth of the other one, and just trick that ewe into thinking she had 2. Quite an impressive thing to convince a woman of. Really got to be charismatic to pull that one off, or just have a lot of afterbirth on hand, I guess. We've been speaking to some of the sheep in this field. One in particular, named Brittany Shears, was telling us that sheep have horizontal irises in their eyes so that they can get a full panoramic view at how disappointed your father is that you never finished your college degree.
Hey Sheep Nation, Torey here coming at you from Nicholson's Gin House in Edinburgh, Scotland, where we're doing the ultimate research on sheep. We're eating some sheep. Let's take a bite, find out what it is. Much more yet to learn. We'll check in later.
Our journey's brought us here to the Royal Scottish Museum in Edinburgh, Scotland, where we found the most famous sheep in the world, Dolly the sheep, who was the first cloned mammal. She lived to be 6 years old until she died of arthritis, perhaps because she was an indoor sheep, or
So what are you guys doing?
we're filming a and now here we are just outside the Royal Scottish Museum, since immediately after filming our last segment on Dolly the sheep, we were kicked out for being too professional of a documentary crew. Did you hear that, Mom? Too professional of a documentary crew. We're here outside of Arthingworth, the most ridiculously named English town in the world, where we found a very unique field of sheep. Now, while sheep lifespan usually is about 10 to 12 years, the locals tell us that one sheep in this field named Willem Dafoe is about to celebrate his 212th birthday. They say it's something in the water, and the villagers are cooking up quite the surprise party for him. We're here in Arthingworth with local farmer Ewan McGregor, no relation. And he's going to tell us about some of the sheep that we see behind us. Now, to compensate him for his time, we've agreed to pay him in black sheep ale. Only appropriate. Cheers.
Yes. Tastes like real sheep.
Yeah, you can really taste the sheep notes in it.
Yeah.
It's got that sheepy flavor to it.
And it's dark, like almost black
Right.
kind of taste.
Right, yeah.
They should call that black sheep.
They have. They just have. It's just changed. So you were telling me something about dipping sheep in some kind of solution. Tell me more.
Yeah, so basically they have, when they've got the wool on, they get lice and parasites and stuff like that. So you really have to dip the sheep in a solution that just kills the parasites. So it used to be traditionally done with a bucket, and you just pick the sheep up, dunk it under. And now you can get different machinery and different ways to do it.
You're telling me you don't use a machine for that? You just grab the sheep and you shove it in the water?
If you've got a lot of sheep, then you basically make them run through a big bath of it.
Oh.
Or if you've got a few sheep or a minimal amount, you just grab them, dunk them under, and just basically try and drown them. You know, really show them who's boss.
He'll now be demonstrating by grabbing one of these sheep behind me.
Yeah.
And how often do you have to dunk them?
Not often, just once, twice a year maximum. So,
The more you know.
yeah.
You'll see here we found
a bit of sheep's wool that's come off. Now, sheep's wool throughout the ages has been used for thousands of different uses, all kinds of different things, and it's been a staple of the UK economy for hundreds and hundreds of years. I think we'll be able to manufacture this into just a little, just work on it a little bit, and you've got a children's toy, just like that. The more you know.
And now, after 10 days, over 2,000 miles, thousands of sheep, and only being ejected from one royal museum, we're here in London at the end of our journey. Now, we've scoured the countryside for answers on these woolly conundrums, and we hope you've learned just as much as we have. Well, actually, I hope you've learned a lot more than we have, because I've really only learned this really strange thing about smearing afterbirth on a baby and tricking a woman into thinking she'd given birth to more than one thing, but I hope you've learned a lot, is what we're trying to say. Now, as they say here in London, das gut. And as I say, sheep you later. Here in Loch Ness, they call the monster many things, but what few call...
Oh, now it is. Get up the tree, Derek. Get up. Go. I got it. There he goes, the intrepid explorer. Climbing up the tree, doing whatever it takes to get the angle.
Arlingtonworth? Arlingworth.
Let's go with that.
Arlingworth.
It just changes every time slightly.
Yeah, whatever. Where we found a truly unique field of sheep. Now, typically a sheep's I did the same thing! And how do you shave a sheep? You just grab it? Is there a machine for this?
No, you do. You use shavers, clippers, and basically you get the sheep, grab it by the front.
Oh.
And now, after 10 days, over 2,000 miles. What the hell was that?
Nah.